2016. Lots of deaths.
Yeah.
Lots of dying. Anton Yelchin, he died. Star Trek. It was really good.
Alan Rickman, he died.
Oh, yeah, Frank Sinatra died.
Muhammad Ali died.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali. Gene Wilder died.
Yeah.
Prince. Did we say Alan Rickman?
We did say Alan Rickman.
Oh, man, that was sad. And David Bowie. Ah. So much death.
But there was some good stuff.
Yes, I played a few board games.
Yep.
I don't know how that counteracts anything.
So without further ado,
our top 5. Well, let's be honest. It's not our top 5 2016 games.
No.
The reality is
a lot of these games have been out for quite some time.
Been out for a while. Yep. It's just the games we played in 2016.
Right. And our time has been pretty sparse. Didn't you have a challenge earlier this year?
I did have a challenge earlier this year, was to play through the games in my collection that I hadn't played through yet.
Starting with Power Grid.
Well, Power Grid inspired it.
Right. How'd that go?
It wasn't that. It was the game I played first. And by not playing it first, I mean I haven't actually played it yet at all. Still waiting.
Yep. But of the games that we did manage to get to the table, we've got quite a list.
Quite a list. Actually, it's huge. I mean, we've got Cry Havoc, Onitama, Elysium,
yep.
Seven Wonders Duel, Role Player, Lords of Vegas, Stratego, Fable, Spectre Ops, the others, Thebes, Codenames, Immortep. I don't know why I had to say it like that. Pandemic Legacy, Cult Express, The Last Banquet, Dungeon Dice, Race for the Galaxy, Isle of Skye, Mystic Vale, Hexagony, Pursuit of Happiness, Scythe, Star Trek Frontiers, Hanabi, Loot Hive, Exploding Kittens, Istanbul. I should have taken a breath earlier because it would have saved that ridiculous inhalation.
Now, having said that, do you have any special criteria for what's going to make your top 5?
I do. It's the one that made me feel excited in my tummy.
Right.
Literally, like, anything that really sort of made me go, oh, that was great.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that was a game that hit my list. And
Yep.
I just went through with the top 5 from there.
Yep.
It was no specific criteria to say the greatest, whatever.
Yep.
Just the ones I most enjoyed.
Yep. For me, it's going to be replayability. The games that if I could bring just 5 games to a board gaming party or New Year's Eve party or whatever,
yep.
These will be the 5 I'm taking.
And I'd say that the 5 that I've chosen are games that I've actually played more than any of the others as well.
Right, yeah.
So naturally, I think that's probably a good criteria to have.
And happy to play them.
Let's go through some honourable mentions.
Honourable mentions.
Games that didn't make my top 5, but I think are worth noting.
Okay, for me, the honourable mentions this year go to Exploding Kittens and Hanabi. 2 games that admittedly were released quite a lot earlier, but I only started to play them this year. And I was so impressed by how quick they were to pick up how much strategy you could have with Hanabi, or just how much sheer fun you were going to have with Exploding Kittens.
And you gave them away.
Yeah.
That's how you show your love for a game. You give it away immediately.
Well.
And get rid of it from your collection.
That's right. I taught it to some Japanese kids, and they were so enthralled with it, I knew that they had to have them, so I gave it to them.
It's the love of the game. You wanted to share your passion with others. Yeah. I respect that. Total respect for that. I love this game so much. I want you to love it as well.
Yep.
Here, have my... Is there any other games in your collection you want me to love? Feel free to share.
Not to that extent.
Lanterns, I know you've got that one. You're probably happy to get rid of that one by now.
Well, we do play a lot, but it's a family favourite, so no.
No, okay. Actually, that's a game you did play this year for the first time.
That's right.
We didn't think to put that on the list, but
Brilliant.
that's but I mean, and it's a good game.
It's
obviously.
lovely, fantastic game, rarely easy to play, pick up, and the scoring system keeps everything fair.
Yeah, and it's one that I'd probably give an honourable mention to, simply because I taught it at the school with both the older kids and the younger kids, and it's been incredibly accessible. It's pretty nice to look at. It's a lot of fun.
Very good.
So, yeah, it's a good game in the end. Also, I would say that for me, there's been Seven Wonders Duel would be one of the honourable mentions.
Yep, that's been a lot of fun to play.
I don't know if I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than Seven Wonders.
Oh, okay. Well, it's quicker to set up.
Yeah, and I think that's partly it. It's not that Seven Wonders is worse. It's just that I've had a notoriously I've had an issue trying to get Seven Wonders to the table.
Right.
Simply because each game group that I've taken it to have not enjoyed it that much.
Yeah.
Whether that's friends at my own place, and I think it's just a matter of getting the right people together, because I really like the game.
Well, maybe that's the point in Duel's favour, is it's 2 players. and
easier.
Easy.
I like the change mechanics. It doesn't feel like Seven Wonders. It does feel like a very different game.
Which is to its credit as well. Because once again, it's still got the multiple victory conditions. And you do get a real sense of competition. I enjoy it as well.
Well, for sure. And in the two-player theme, I'd probably have to say Onitama is probably worthwhile mentioning.
Making chess interesting again.
Yeah, and I like the known information. Everything's known. I like how you're restricted in movement, but that led to creative play. It wasn't like some other games that I've played where you're restricted in actions and movement and it led to less creative play. we could probably get to that at some point if we really feel like being hated on by gamers. But it's a good game. I liked it. Cold Express.
Cold Express was interesting.
It was interesting, yeah. It was. I mean, it's not going to hit my top 10 list of anything, I don't think. No, but it was good. It's a Spiel winner, and I can understand why. It's kind of light. It's got that, not huge into the programming mechanic, but I have a lot of love for the actual mechanic itself, like how it works.
Yep. Codenames was a great little party game I got to play.
Yeah, Codenames.
Codename Pictures. It's nothing quite like trying to describe a dwarf standing next to a big green monster with a single word.
Without giving it too much away.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some others here. I've got Isle of Skye. I've got Mystic Vale. Both really, really good games and, worthy of respect in their own right. I've got to show some respect to Loot simply because, it's a simple game. I think it's Reiner Knizia, actually, who I like a lot. And again, I took it on camp with the Year 6s and they loved it. It was just so accessible and it was a game that people wanted to keep playing.
For me, a nice short game which was just rich with beauty as well as pretty fun mechanics was Entropy, which was actually made and developed right here in Brisbane.
Right here in Brisbane too. You also played another game right here in Brisbane.
Rise to Power. Rise to Power was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed Smiths of Winterforge. I was hoping that would get kickstarted. It didn't quite make the cut for whatever reason.
Yep, might come back next year.
Might be back.
So keep an eye out for that one.
I actually got to play Istanbul as well, as it was a game in my collection from last year which I hadn't played, and I finally played it, and I really enjoyed it. I can understand why that was a Kinderspiel des Jahres winner.
Yep.
It is. It's a really wonderful game. And it's pretty.
Yeah,
it's got good components.
Imhotep was an interesting game for me as well.
Imhotep. I shouldn't say it like that.
No, you shouldn't. You might evoke something.
I know. I might conjure something up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to our top 5 games for 2016. So it's just the top 5 games that we played.
Yeah.
Not the top 5 games from 2016, just the top 5 that we played this year.
That we could get to the table.
Why don't you go first? What's your number 5?
Starting
5. Maybe we should
number
have.
5.
I wonder if we've got some cool graphic or animation I can put up there.
Yes.
We'll see. If there's a cool graphic, you'll know.
Yep. Number 5 for me was Elysium. Now, this game was introduced to me while I was in Sydney by a guy who absolutely loved it, and I can see why. You've got tableau building, you've got a bit of strategy determining on what sort of cards you want to play. Do you want to focus on gold? Go yellow. Do you want to focus on just gaining victory points? Go with Zeus. Do you want to be a dick? Go with Poseidon. That sort of thing. Plus, the game always ended up with fairly close scoring, which usually indicates a really good scoring mechanism.
Yeah, I only played it a couple of times, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the interplay of the tableau. The tableau is a little bit different. Like you can be utilizing the powers, or you can be scoring them as points.
That's right.
And I felt that there was genuine strategies to go for. There wasn't just the one. It wasn't just the one strategy that you could draft. It wasn't just drafting any card or just trying to draft the best cards. It was, I was passing up really powerful cards to go for certain strategies.
And there was forward thinking as well in keeping your proper columns aligned, or else you wouldn't be able to get the cards you needed.
Yeah, so you had to it was clever play too. It required clever play.
What about you?
My number 5 is The Others.
Ah, yes.
Of course, this game just, I was both surprised for 2 reasons for this game. Firstly, I forgot that I'd kickstarted it quite a while ago. And
so
then
surprise.
Suddenly I was surprised with this huge box. I went, that's really cool. So that was a nice, pleasant surprise. The other thing was that I knew it was going to be a good, it's Eric Lane, who is kind of on fire with a lot of games. He's bringing out really good games at the moment. But it was a good, it felt I think I was in the mood for some heavy gaming.
Yes.
And it brought that feel of heavy gaming without being too convoluted. I didn't feel like it was as hard to learn as something like Agricola.
Yeah.
So I wasn't inundated with mechanics and strategies and problems to solve and all this sort of thing. It was pretty clean. Like,
yeah.
I haven't won a game of it yet. I mean, you've played the Overlord by the time.
That's right, yeah. I have to say, I really enjoyed the monsters and how I could use them to consume you.
It's beautiful to look at. Like, it's a really pretty game.
Yeah.
I mean, and by pretty, I mean gruesome and horrible.
Gruesome and horrible in a sort of post-apocalyptic hellscape sense. Yes,
that's right. But like, it was great,
yes.
And I had fun doing it. I like the different characters. I really feel like the characters play differently.
Yep, I like the asymmetry towards the game as well. The Sin player's got a lot to worry about with 3 players coming after him.
Well, that's right.
They've got big monsters to worry about.
Yeah, and each I suppose Sin that you tackle requires a different style of play.
That's right.
Which really made a difference to me. Like, it felt like there was, like, we played a couple of the Sin characters.
Was Lust and Sloth, I believe.
Sloth, yeah.
Yep.
And wow, just like completely different game styles.
Yep.
And it just like it was funny going from one to the other and making the mistake of confusing the two up. So you would go to make a move. Like, it'd be like, oh, I can do this. I'll jump. I'll make 2 sections here. And you're like, no, you're firsting Sloth, so your movement is restricted.
Okay.
You're like, oh no. So good moments like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Number 5.
Okay, number 4 game for me is a relatively new game that was just kickstarted. That's just finished its Kickstarter and been released, I should say. Is Roll Player. Now, for anybody that gets stuck at character generation at any sort of RPG, this is the game for you.
You're saying for anyone who gets stuck with character generation?
Well, yeah, if you're trying to roll those perfect stats, if you're trying to make sure that everything syncs up nicely, Roll Player does it all with dice. And this is one of the few games where you don't mind rolling a 1.
Oh, really?
Very clever in terms of its scoring, in terms of submissions to do, in terms of set collecting, in terms of alternate win conditions, in terms of making sure that you put dice in the correct places. Yep, I could go through a full explanation, but all you need to know is that there's a lot for you to think about, and if you get it just right, you feel so good.
Yeah, okay. And I'm keen for that. I'm keen to give that a try. I mean, I like the whole... I like it when you've got a character that you can build and develop over time.
Yep.
I feel invested in the character.
Yep.
But so that'd be interesting. Why is it okay to roll 1?
So what happens is each character will take turns rolling dice from a bag, and they will allocate on initiative cards.
Okay.
So you can pick to put the 1 on the number 1 initiative card. If you take it, you can place that die in your strength column. And when you do that, you can activate Strength's ability, which is to flip the die to the opposite face.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And as long as,
because the reason that's, for those who don't know, every die is set up so that the both opposite sides add up to 7.
Yep.
So if you got a 1, the opposite side's a 6.
And the reason this is important is because any of you that know Dave knows he can't roll over a 1.
Well, me and 1 were a friend.
Yeah. Anyway, loads of strategy, loads of things to keep your mind on, and more often than not, you'll actually end up screwing yourself over because you forgot about something.
And I'm good at screwing myself over in games.
Anyway.
I'm particularly proficient.
Okay.
Excellent. My number 4 is Cry Havoc.
Yes.
It's a great game. I was really happy with this when it came in.
Game. Yep.
Genuine asymmetry. Like it, unlike other games which claim asymmetry, we can get to that later.
Yep. Genuinely, each faction feels like it's playing its own game, its own strategies, its own unique strong points.
Yeah, what's good about, and the way I know that that's the case is you played the mechs a couple of times, and you were doing really well with them. Like you won the first game outright, no problem. But I was speaking to someone else on Instagram, and they were saying that they had never seen the mechs win. They thought the humans were overpowered.
Yeah.
And I'd played the humans, and they were not overpowered. They were challenging to play.
Well, so, who says that?
Well, I could just be, as I said, I'm really good at screwing myself over in games. And doesn't mean I'm a good player. No. I just like to play.
But you've got aspects from deck building, you've got aspects from area control, you've got victory points, you've got alternative win conditions, you've got Not alternative win conditions.
It feels
unique win conditions.
That's right, and it feels like each faction does have genuinely its own strategy, and the battle system's really fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's based on anything. I haven't come across it before.
The closest thing I could think of is maybe a tabletop war game in terms of structuring phases, but
if you haven't seen it, it's you've got a battle mat essentially, and the top one is, and you're just placing, like, you've got the area control element of the game where it's the most amount of characters in a particular zone, but that equates to a battle. So when you've got two different factions in the one zone, a battle occurs, and you have to place your characters or mechs or whatever into one of three sections. And the first one is for outright dominance. So if I have more characters than you in that section, I win outright dominance.
But no characters get killed at that point.
No, that's right. The next one is you get to capture a prisoner. So it's if I have more than you, then I get to take one of the characters from any objective in those three, and I get to capture it as part of my own. And it costs you victory points to get that
character back.
So you can get that character back, but it costs you 2 victory points, which in a very tight scoring game,
which goes by really quickly.
And it goes by really quickly. It does.
Only 5 rounds.
But then the last one is, depending on the number of characters in the final one, you can kill that many of your opponents.
It's pure attrition, and it's what you would be expecting. It's the other two that are kind of new, you know. Just because you've got the most characters controlling the region doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be there next turn.
That's right. So in a sense, like, I could win the outright the first one because they resolve in that order.
That's right.
So it resolves that I win outright dominance in the zone, so I get to put my little marker down that says I own that zone.
But I could capture one of his pieces and kill off 2 others if I've got
if you've got the same number as me, because and I'm a defender, defenders always win. Or in ties, you can get rid of all of my characters. They're all gone. So I win dominance of the zone, but all he has to do is walk in next turn, and he now claims the zone for himself.
Very strategic.
Yeah, so some really wonderful little ideas like that. Great powers, great abilities. I love you're right. The thing for us, I think, was we were awed about how intuitive the setup was, the whole board setup, and how everything looks. That
just by colour and shape, I was predicting exactly what was going to happen, how the setup was going to happen. Hadn't even looked at the rule book.
No,
it was just that.
And then the rule book was almost just confirming some things for us. So it really was. It was such a brilliant design, that whole board and how everything looked. Just a great design. So wonderful game. Cry Havoc, number 4.
Number 3 for me. We've already discussed it. Number 3 for me is Cry Havoc. I won't bother going over it again.
Let's have exactly the same discussion right now.
Pretty much.
Do you know the thing I liked about it most?
What?
Was the design of the board.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
No, seriously. It's go take a look at that. All I will say on it is it's the most fun I've had with Terminators since Robocop.
Really? The most fun with Terminators since Robocop.
Well, you know, they look like the Eddie units.
I want to say mixing metaphors, but at the same time,
I'm cross-pollinating here.
Okay, excellent.
It's my headcanon, deal with it.
It's been the most fun I've had with Smurfs since Avatar. Alright, my number 3 is Star Trek Frontiers. Now, I know Ascension came out this year, but I haven't actually played Ascension yet. But Frontiers also came out earlier in the year. And I did play that, and that was amazeballs. I loved it. I mean, we know...
I'll say it, Mage Knight in space.
Yeah, it's Mage Knight in space. But that's okay.
But that's not the point.
The thing works really well with it. Everything just sort of... It captured the feel. Like, I've played Mage Knight. And it's good. I like it, and I like the fantasy theme. But for some reason, like with Star Trek theme, it captured that whole feel of exploration. It captured the feel of that episodic journey of
heading out into the great unknown.
That's right. I'm exploring, and I come across an alien race.
And it probably helps that you're invested in the characters as well.
It absolutely helps. I mean, everyone knows. I mean, if anyone's watched any of my videos, they know that I'm a Star Trek nut. I love Star Trek. So there is
I got the Deep Space Nine, which I haven't yet watched, but it was good to see Picard around, and
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, I think the universe is so expansive that there is a lot it can draw on to bring into the universe, and there's lots of things you can do with that.
Yeah.
I mean, and all the alien races are very different.
Yes.
So I think they can have abilities which don't just come down to simple sort of what's the word I'm looking for? That min-maxing sort of battle mechanic where you're just looking at, you know, they're stronger or weaker.
Sure.
They can actually have genuine effects and abilities on the game. But anyway, this game works really well. You've got the exploration, you've got the tackling aliens, you've got collaboration, you've got attacking each other. All of those things works really well, beautifully designed.
Yeah.
I've got to say, like, I mean, it's not as cleverly designed as Cry Havoc, but it's still, all the components are wonderful.
Yep.
They feel hefty, like the actual tiles feel hefty. Everything looks good and feels good on the board. Sure. So yeah, my number 3, Star Trek Frontiers.
Okay. All right, my number 2 game for the year is Mission to Red Planet.
Now, good game. I played that last year though, so I couldn't include it.
That's right. This game is the only game I've actually gone up to Dave and asked if I can borrow it to take it to other places.
Yeah, it's good.
It's got a lot of
red stuff.
Programming.
It does have programming.
Yeah, it's got your area control. It's got your programming,
selection.
Your character selection. Even the fact that everyone's got the same cards in hand leads to a little bit of hand management, a bit of memorization. It's got a bit of everything. And every game I've played of it so far has been unique.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also I think one of the things that's really underutilized in it is also the cards that you can place around the board.
That's right, yeah.
Those resources, those sorts of things. In fact, I've seen them sway a game entirely, and mostly because people play them because they draft that particular character. I can't remember the name of it.
Right, yeah.
They play them, and then people just leave them, forget them. And if we had actually utilized the other character, which allows you to look and make decisions from what you find, maybe those games could have gone different. But for the most part, people left them and they kind of got screwed with them in the end. So,
but these are the decisions you'll be making. What cards have I played? What resources have I got left? Where is everyone located on the board? There's so much to think about, but it's all very intuitive.
I love how some of the turns come down to people trying to... It's that, do I rush now or do I hold off or when do I go? And you get these sorts of... prisoner dilemma sort of things going on where you game theory stuff going in, and you've got that one character that lets you push like 5 or something onto rockets if it's free, and so you have them all resolve at once, and then the first person gets it and it launches,
and all of a sudden
and then there's like 2 or 3 other people who are just sitting there with this card that they can't do anything with. And usually I avoid that one simply for that reason, because I know people are going to go for it. And I just sort of sit back and smugly laugh at them while my other character resolves later.
That's right. Yep, absolutely brilliant, and second on my list. How about you?
Number 2 for me is Lords of Vegas.
Yes.
It is a great... This game just wowed me.
Yep.
It's been out for ages. It's, 2 of our favourite designers, Mike Selinker, James Ernest. But as I did a whole video on it, and if you want to check it out, you can go look at that.
Yep. Link in the description.
Link in the description. But... for me, it was just that it was luck or random elements used brilliantly.
Yep.
Just so, like, I don't genuinely like gambling games or games based purely on luck. But this wasn't based purely on luck, but it used those elements to build tension within the game.
Yep. With your money, you've got the resources to... You are still making these decisions about what you're going to do with your money.
What you're going to do with all that cash? Oh, sorry.
Anyway.
I told you I wouldn't sing. I'm sorry.
That's right. Lost my track of thought, yeah. The thing is, you take risks, and if you take big risks, you can get big rewards in this game.
Yeah.
It feels so good when it works.
So good. Yeah.
Or when it's such a disappointment when it doesn't.
When it doesn't. There was a couple of moments where you were using the
gambling system.
You gamble in other people's casinos. I was at this pitiful amount of money. I had like hundreds of dollars, like maybe $200 or $300, which is next to nothing, or maybe $1,000. I think it was $2,000 or $3,000, which is the lowest denomination you can have. And you had like wads of cash. You just went, well, I'm going to gamble in your casino and take all your money. I went, what?
Because it was an aggressive move.
It was an aggressive move, and it left me with 0 for the next round. And then you did it later. And I won. And I'm like, awesome, I'm back in this. So it was good. It was fun that way. But the thing I liked most was that moment where we were playing and I was completely out of the game. I was completely immobilized.
Yep.
And you were almost taking pity on me. You were trying to make move. You were starting to.
It's no fun to be in that position. I know that. So.
And it kind of felt like at that stage that the game had been broken for me.
Yeah.
Like it was, okay, you're way ahead. There's no way I can catch up. And you went to make a move which essentially was generous, overly generous and nice to me. And
which you wouldn't do in a standard game.
Yeah, you wouldn't do in a standard competitive game. But I really insisted that you played properly.
Yeah.
Make the move you would have made, which was, to screw me over even more. But the funny thing was we pushed through it. I pushed through my frustration and tried to play as best I could instead of just giving up and making silly moves.
Yeah.
And you know what?
It worked out.
It worked out. Like I don't think I won that game. I'm not sure.
But you didn't lose by a lot.
I think I lost by 1 point.
4, yeah.
It's 3 or 4 by that stage because it costs costs 3 to get that next one.
Which is an absolutely brilliant bit of score design over there because you never feel like you're too far out of it. I might be getting more resources every single turn, but if my casinos are small, I'm not actually advancing, and the win condition is points.
And the best thing was that I was able to utilize the way I got back into the game was taking the big risk on one of those casinos, which could score a lot of points.
Yep.
And I had maybe 2 dice, I think, to like your 5 or 6. And I rolled. I restructured the organization. We rolled our dice, and I turned out to be the manager, which then scored me a lot of points in the next couple of rounds.
Yep.
And I was able to hold on to that. So really good elements like that built into it, which just keep people in the game. It rewards people who can play a little bit riskier, as well as having the risk there, genuine risk.
Really good mitigation of the randomness that comes with dice.
Yeah, and
highs are highs.
You can play a standard game and just play smart and do well, possibly even win it using that.
Sure.
And you did. You won it using that, and I got only a point behind on the basis of that I took some risks and I managed to push myself up.
Yep. The highs are highs, the lows are lows. It's Vegas.
Yeah. And it's a fun and it's a pretty game to look at. I like it. I like the different use of dice.
Yeah.
So it was good to see. I'm always intrigued, because dice seem so one use.
That's
only.
right.
There's
you roll them for points, sort of thing.
Yeah, but to find games that use them in clever ways.
Yeah.
And if I was I think I played it last year, and it would have been on my one of my honorable mentions this year was Blueprints.
Ah, yes.
Because it uses dice differently. I like those sorts of things, and this. Lords of Vegas use dice in a creative, clever way.
Yep.
So I thought it was good. So it's my number 2.
Cool. And my number 1 game.
Thebes.
Yep, it's Thebes.
It's
Thebes. Yeah.
We did our lists independently, but
we did.
We both settled on Thebes.
Now we know it's not the newest game. When did it come out?
I don't know. I did the video the other day. I can't remember.
Yep.
2009, I think.
Yeah, but
could be 2007 or 8.
Yeah, we don't care. We played it this year.
It was good.
Absolutely enthralled by it.
Yeah, Peter Prince. I'm not familiar with Peter Prince. I was actually having a discussion with someone on the video that I posted. I might even put that in the description below as well. Who knows? But so they sort of mentioned that actually they don't think of Queen's Games as a publishing house that a lot of their favourites are from, but their collection contains a lot of Queen's games, and maybe it's one of those publishers we overlook a little bit.
Don't want to say Dark Horse or anything, but it's probably in your collection right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got when I thought about it, I've actually got quite a few Queen's games in there, and they're really good.
Yeah.
They invest in good games, and this one is no exception.
Absolutely. Everything from, I took a look around the side, I mistook it for a scoreboard at first, like I've seen in 100 other Euros. No, this one, it's actual physical time as a resource, which is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It's crazy. And you've got this, you don't buy cards.
No.
You just make the investment of, how much time do you want to spend doing this particular action?
And the more time you spend on it, the better the result will finally be, but the fewer turns you're actually taking. Every time we talk about meaningful choices in terms of games, this is what we're talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And because it does have an impact, your decisions matter, and your decisions, the there's multiple ways to do things in some sense. Like you can score through doing exhibitions. You can score through going to Congress. You can you score through doing
from just having the most knowledge.
From having the most knowledge at the end. Now those. Now, granted, you probably want to be doing all of those. It's not. I'm not saying it's an asymmetrical game in that sense, but judging the state of play, looking at what your opponents are doing, making decisions. Like if you just go all out for Congress cards, you might be skipping over knowledge cards in the process to get that, and it might be.
Yeah, those are worth 5 points each at the end of the game if you've got the most knowledge.
Well, that's right, and that's a huge bonus.
It's a huge amount. Yeah.
I know, and but at the same time,
digs.
Well, that's right, and at the same time, like to go and collect some of those cards, like the Congress cards or general knowledge cards, which don't score you anything. General knowledge is great for boosting your ability at a dig, but it will cost you if you're going from one town to the next. It'll cost you a minimum of 7 weeks to get a general knowledge card.
Yeah,
and so.
Now that was time spent, yeah.
Is it that good that you're going to spend 7 weeks? You've got 3 years to win this game.
Yep. Less if there are more players.
That's right. And if you're spending 7 weeks on one action, that's a big chunk of time. And that because it has that sort of Tokaido. It came out before Tokaido, I believe. But that mechanic of the last player goes first and can have multiple turns. Those decisions matter.
Yep. As well as some of the physical elements of the game, the bags where you draw your tokens from genuinely feel like you're going on a dig.
Yeah.
It's great, visceral fun.
I like the idea that you make these really clever plays to build knowledge and to get general knowledge, all those sort of things. Yeah. And all they do is they give you a better probability.
Yeah.
They give you a better chance of scoring points. They don't guarantee it. And then there's also, again, we talked about that whole, prisoner's dilemma game theory sort of stuff going on. Now, when do I go for my first dig? There's big rushes of play because you can go, well, I've got 5 knowledge, which isn't really high on the score tracker. Like when you're looking at you go to the
they've got a special wheel,
the special wheel that you go to.
Might only be worth 2 draws, but you got to ask yourself because the bag's still full at that point.
Yeah. The bag's full, you've got all the artifacts in there, and you're guaranteed at least 1 artifact if no one else has dug in that position before.
That's right.
So you're guaranteed 1 artifact. You might be able to clear out a few artifacts before anyone else, because all of the sand tiles go back into
the bag.
So
which are blank draws.
Blank draws, and they lower people's probability. Yep. So strategically, it might be a good play to do.
Yep. It is genuinely exciting to dig your hand in there and be pulling out because that's where your points lie. And if you get the max value out of that, it feels so good.
It does feel really good.
Really good.
Or if you're on the other side of the table when that's happening, you sort of go, oh.
What else can we say? The balance was actually worked out really well because it was 2 points different at the end of the game. 2 points different, yeah. Yep. So whatever strategy you choose, you're in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt, throughout the whole thing that I felt that sense of adventure.
Yes.
So overall, the feeling was good. The gameplay was good. It wasn't hard to learn. How long did it take us to learn? No time.
Absolutely, really easy to.
We read the rules in 10 minutes. Yeah. And we were into it. We were playing the game. I think we had 2 rule clarifications. Yeah. Which apparently have been fixed with later editions. So, which is good to hear. But
if it's on your collection, we suggest picking it up.
Definitely recommend Thebes. There's definitely a good number 1 for 2016. But was there any games that you missed this year that you would like to or look forward to playing next year?
How much time have you got? A huge amount of
I think for me,
games,
the main one would be Oceanus. I think that's how Antoine Bowser.
Yeah.
Who, he's generally, I've got a lot of his games in my collection. I love his work. Yep. I think he's a very creative individual. I'd love to give that a go. Also, his Attack on Titan came out too.
Yes, I've been seeing that around.
I'd be keen to give a go to.
Yeah, I'm a little bit wary about that one, but looks like a pretty fun experience one way or another. New Angeles for me, that looks pretty cool. I never did get around to trying Time Stories or Tragedy Looper.
I'd like to do Tragedy Looper. Not so keen. I'm not terribly fussed on Time Stories. I don't think I need to play it. Again, I'm not investing $80 just to play a 1 hour game.
Sure. What else? Yeah, quite a few. Lords of Vegas I still haven't gotten around to. He has.
Lords of Vegas?
No, sorry, Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep, thank you.
Please stop naming your games Lords of something. There's a lot of Lords.
That's a big difference.
Quite you. Waterdeep is just Vegas and the Forgotten Realms, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
That's right.
But yeah.
Fighting for competition over the Waterdeep strip.
Yep. Looking into maybe getting into an LCG or something.
Yeah, we're going to check out Netrunner.
Yep.
We'll have a look at that.
See how that
works. Here we go. As well as, I think we're going to look at Magic Command.
Yes, Magic Commander sets, or just standard Magic the Gathering sort of stuff. Because it's about high time to look into, the great granddaddy of all CCGs.
Yes, well, it's scary.
Still going strong.
Still going strong.
Almost 20, 30 years.
Oh, it can take so much money away from you. Excellent. But look. That's probably the best we've got for 2016. We would love to hear what your top 5 games were. Why don't you put them in the comments below? We'd love to hear what you've been playing and what you thought was good. Doesn't have to be games released in 2016. No, stuff that crap. Yeah. You just put down the games that you loved best that you played this year. Yep. Love to hear it. If you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. My name's Dave Adams.
I'm Ricky Sherwood.
And that's what's happening now.